An undercover NYPD officer crushes Erik Duprey's skull with a cooler. On Wednesday, August 23rd, Erik Duprey died due to a sergeant hitting him in the head with a cooler. The officer was later suspended with no pay. So, the story breakdown is the NYPD was holding an undercover sting to catch drug dealers. Basically, they just went undercover and tried to see if they could catch anyone in the act of selling drugs. Allegedly, Erik Duprey was selling one of the undercover officers drugs. They also report that someone gives Erik Duprey a motorbike, he hops on it, and he tries to flee the scene. An anonymous witness reported that during the pursuit, one of the undercover officers takes his cooler, which is filled with soda cans, water bottles, essentially things that's making the cooler heavy. He picks it up and throws it at his head close range. After the officer throws the cooler at his head, before Erik Duprey even hits the ground, he hits a tree and he also gets hit by a Jeep. Emergency services were called to the scene, but later Erik Duprey was pronounced dead. The medical examiner determined that Erik Duprey died due to blunt force trauma to the head and determined his death as a homicide. This is a recurring problem with the African American people and the police. There was always excessive force being used. There were so many different options that officer could have used to de-escalate the situation. I don't get how throwing a 40-pound cooler was the best decision he could come up with in his head to de-escalate that situation. And what's also invigorating is that the officer, the only thing that he got in trouble with or punished with was suspended without pay. That's giving no justice. Even when the medical examiner determined it was a homicide, that this was due to blunt force trauma to the head, and the only thing that's happening to this officer is suspended without pay, that's not justice at all. The system just needs to do better with making these officers take accountability for their actions, because this is a continuous cycle that keeps going and going and going, and these officers are getting a slap on the wrist or suspended without pay. Regardless of what Erik Duprey was doing, selling drugs or not selling drugs, at the end of the day, he did not deserve to lose his life. My heart definitely goes out to him and his family. He was a married man with children. He had a whole life. And just for his life to be lost for one mistake that he did or may not have done is just tragedy. That is all the information that I have for you guys today. As always, I'll keep you guys informed, so stay tuned.